The Bluetooth connection isn't working. Darn Bluetooth. Always let you down. What's up, guys? This video is going to be a little bit different than most because we had some baler footage that I didn't make a whole video of, so we didn't have anywhere to put it. But it comes right after the last video where we were stacking the hay bales. So we're going to show you the baler footage, and then we're going to jump right into the next day when we were starting pivots and we had a few mishaps. All right, guys. Well, it's finally dry enough to do some baling. Now, it's not very dry, but it's dry enough. So Trevor's got in the baler right here. I'm going to film him a little bit, and then we'll start stacking some bales. This thing is a very aggressive machine. Pretty cool to watch this thing work. It does a good job. It has moisture checkers in these little side panels, but they're not super accurate because you're just checking outside. So let's see what the moisture is inside.
That one's really bad.
It's a little high, well, because we got some rain, but also we have all this regrowth that it's picking up and putting in there too. So yeah, it's a little wet. We probably should stop and let it dry the rest of the day. Maybe try it tonight. We're 40. These are gonna be some really hot bales. Looks like we had a, oh, this is a mist tie that we just had. But we're gonna go bundle all these up and we're gonna start stacking. What's up, guys? Welcome out to another beautiful day on the farm. I have to start the day by shutting off some ditches and turning on some ditches, and then this afternoon I have to turn all of my pivots back on. But this ditch right here, so this is our pond we pump out of, and there's a guy down the road who floods his yard, and he told me yesterday I could shut his off, and so I have to shut his ditch off and then open ours up and then go adjust the head gate down the road. So let's get that done. Now I have to come over here and I have to pull ours out so it doesn't overflow the ditch. Now we have a lot of flow coming in, and I'm already overflowing into the little overflow next to the field. So I gotta go turn the head gate down, or else this is just gonna overflow. Okay, now I'm gonna shut this head gate. When I'm watering, I only have about 5 inches sticking out. But this ditch is usually so full that it's almost running over this concrete barrier. Oh, now all of my pivots are off. And this afternoon, I need to turn all of them on because we're catching up on the potatoes. So what that means is we're trying water and water and water early, and then they get really wet. Now the potatoes are big, so it's shading the dirt so they don't dry out as fast. So now we're catching up to where the potatoes are almost too wet, so we have to shut the water off for a day or two. And when we do that, we shut it off. So I shut it off last night, and then it sits, and then this afternoon I have to go turn it all back on. But I have some ditches and stuff I have to turn on first, so the water's there when I want to turn the pivots on. So now I'm gonna go turn on another ditch, so this afternoon the water's there so I can start one. Now I gotta open this one. There's a hornet's nest just on the other side of it. So I've smashed the nest 3 times. They keep rebuilding it. But we gotta get this ditch going. There's the water. Now it's gonna take 4 hours to flow down this ditch to get to my pivot. This is the ditch I just turned on. It's not completely empty, so maybe it won't take 4 hours, but I know it will take 4 hours for the water to get here, so I don't know. It's not completely empty, but it's gonna be a while till it's completely full. Now this field, I will take you out in the fields when I go and turn on all my pivots and kind of show you how they look, but we're past the blooming stage, and there's pretty good sized potatoes, about 4 or 5 inch long underneath there already, so it is pretty cool. Now the wheat, we've shut the wheat off already, so that's how we get the wheat ready to harvest. I know some people say, well, how do you kill it? We just shut it off. We just turn the water off to it. It dries up and dies, and then it's ready to harvest. Now this is one of our wheat fields that we've turned off, and it is still pretty green. That's why we turned it off. But the heads, these heads are completely full of wheat. So they're full, the head's filled out. This is really tall wheat because it's a different variety, but luckily none of it has laid down, which is great. But it's really green still. We just turned it off. This week was the first full week that it has been off. And it takes anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks before it's dry enough to harvest. So we turn it off now. It's middle of July. And we usually harvest like the last week or 2 of July. Or not July. The last week or 2 of August. So we have a couple weeks till this is ready. The forecast does look pretty hot and dry, and if it does stay hot and dry, it could be ready to go in 3 weeks. It just depends on the weather. If it cools off, or if we get some rain, that'll slow it down. But usually it's hot and dry this time of year, and this will just dry down really quick. Right across the road we have another one that's also off drying, but right now it still looks pretty green. That wheat you saw earlier in the footage going out to shut the ditch off, that was not one of our fields. That was a different field, but that was fall wheat. So wheat that was planted in the fall has been, which is winter wheat, that has been off for a while, for a couple more weeks than we've been off, and that just seems to die down a lot quicker and a lot faster and get yellow. Ours is hard red spring wheat, and it stays on a little bit longer, and it doesn't dry out as fast. So in a couple weeks though, 2 or 3 weeks, this whole field will just be yellow as this piece along the road that doesn't really get any water. So now that we're starting to turn things off and we have a little bit of extra time because now we don't have all the wheat, we have all of our manure spreaders. This is the next thing these trucks will be doing, is after we harvest all the wheat off, we'll be spreading manure while we're harvesting wheat. Actually, we start spreading manure before we're done harvesting. So we just took all our beds off. There's actually a few trucks over here that don't have beds on them, that we pulled the bulk beds. They had bulk beds on them from when we did planting seed potatoes. So because we haven't had to do silage this year, usually these trucks do silage and we put the big tall sides on them and we use these for silage for hay. But we've been baling everything, so this is actually the first time we've really used these trucks or got them out and looked at them since planting potatoes. So we're switching them all over, getting the manure beds ready, which we have already found some problems, like this one. Josh is down here. There's a gearbox right there, down under there, that they get covered in manure all the time, and they're a cast aluminum housing, and the manure just eats it away. But also the seals and stuff go bad. But we turned it on, and Josh turned it on out there, and it was not, the beaters were not turning. So that gearbox is not good. So now we have to try and get that off, and we don't have one, so we have to order one. And this is just the first bed. And we know that there's probably one or two other beds. We know at least one other bed that has some problems as well with gearboxes and stuff. So, but we have about 3 weeks roughly to get all these in order and shape. So we're going to start working on them slowly, get them all done and get them all ready, because we have a whole bunch of manure to haul and we want to try and have as many trucks running as possible. There's the gearbox. Just cracked all the way around this thing. And my guess how that happened, water got in there, cracked it. Also could be a chunk of concrete hit and
Or it could be
popped it. Could be many things.
could be this chunk of steel right here that's all bent.
There's kind of a bent piece of metal right there. But we have to order a new one because we don't have one.
Okay, so this was a bad case. We just took off this truck. You can see it wouldn't move a minute ago. I turned this free spin it, so we're about to have the reveal. Kind of like
It's a lovely,
reveal.
case right there. And got a nice
it's
crack.
like a farmer gender reveal.
I can smell the oil inside of it.
Yeah. Pretty sure. Oh, I missed one bolt. Pause the reveal. There's one bolt that was hidden.
Brief intermission.
Uh-oh. It might be a little stripped out too.
The problem is they don't have any of these. We just called them and they are on back order, so they have no idea when they'll be able to get one, which would basically put 2 of our manure spreaders out of commission. The other one that has a bad gearbox, we might be able to get it to work temporarily, but if we can't get these gearboxes, that essentially makes these trucks no longer work. There, it's coming out.
So we shall see. We need some form of ingenuity to figure out how we can make these work, or fix these cases, or do something. The shafts are fine. They look good.
Yeah, shafts are definitely not, they're not as worn as I've seen some of them.
The case is definitely bad.
And judging by how sloppy these shafts are, I imagine the gears and bearings and stuff inside are not great either.
It's like I got all the bolts out. What's holding me up?
It's that
A seal.
Seal's corroded in there.
So we got some bearings out.
And there's 0 oil in there.
Well, it cracked. Probably drained
Yeah,
all the
drained
oil
it out.
out. But this bearing over here, you can see, is This is supposed to look like this one here. Those are rough, I can feel them, but that one right there is out. The teeth honestly don't look too bad.
It looks like it was just slipping past when it got.
If we had some new bearings.
New bearings, a new case.
And a new case. Maybe it needs some new seals, obviously. That seal's stuck. Usually we make a greasy gear oil mess.
Yeah. No oil in this one. Just lots of bearing parts.
Yep.
But we don't have a case, we don't have bearings, we don't have anything to fix this. So we just wanted to open it up and see what was wrong.
How long will it last if you don't put any oil in it?
A day. But the case is broken and it wasn't spinning. Everything's out and bad.
Maybe
so
we could try to JB weld or aluminum weld that case up or something.
here's the next truck we gotta work. I'm not sure what problems this one has yet. Hopefully just grease the bearings. Well, that truck didn't have any problems. We just greased it up and pulled it out. But now it is time for me to go start all my pivots. This is the first one we're gonna start with. So these fields, the only reason they're off is because they were getting too wet and now they needed some time off. But the potatoes are all big. So if you kind of look across here, like it looks like they're kind of falling down. So the vine has gotten big enough that now it's starting to fall down. So that's why we're trying to adjust the watering and the fertilizer. We've turned the fertilizer way down on a lot of these. Most of these we've actually shut the fertilizer off. This field was late getting fertilizer, so we're still running a little bit of fertilizer on this one. And then we have a couple fields that are low on phosphate. So we're taking the nitrogen fertilizer out of the tanks, and then we're putting phosphate back in the tanks, and we got to pump phosphate on. If we don't put phosphate on, they'll die too early, and then we won't have the potato crop that we need. So we have to take the nitrogen off, because the nitrogen is what makes the vine grow, and then we'll put phosphate in, and phosphate just keeps the plant alive. Just makes it so it doesn't die. But we still have a few blooms out here, just a few here and there. We're already past the blooming stage, but this field was a little behind because it was 2 weeks late getting the fertilizer. But the plants are big and nice and very, very wet. I guess not very wet. They're the right amount of wet. And this pivot's been off for 24 hours, so we're gonna turn it back on. Just open this up, hit pump, and the water usually only takes a second to get here. There's the water. And now we'll let this whole pivot fill up, and then we'll just hit start and it'll start going. While it's filling up, it looks like I do have a plugged nozzle right here. So I'm gonna come out here and unplug it. This first tower has shutoffs on it, so it makes it easy to unplug. Maybe it's not plugged. Now that it's getting more pressure, it is starting to go. But I can see that there's definitely a dry spot right here. Granted, this field is also very gravelly, so it tends to get dry spots. But there's a really big dry spot just right here, which it must just be this spot, because as I follow it around over there really isn't. So this must just be a really, really gravelly spot that's just drying out. But also, that looks like it's not putting out a whole lot. Neither does that one or that one. They're supposed to look about like that. So I'm gonna go just make sure these 3 right here are unplugged. Well, never mind. Just like that, right as I was about to go unplug them, we got water all the way to the end and they pressurized, and I don't know, they're going now. I don't know why there's this dry spot. It must just be extra gravelly. Come on, start. There we go. Turn blue, arrow's on, and it's going. We'll let it water till next week, and then we'll turn it off for another 24 hours. On to the next one. Okay, we're to the next field. This field is the one that I had to start the ditch. You can see that the ditch is full, it is overflowing into the field, which is not what we want, but that's why we got to start the pivot, so it can suck the ditch down and not overflow. So let's go see how full the ditch is. I got to drive through that. Oh, my side-by-side wants to go without me. Better put it in park. But yeah, it looks like the ditch is overflowing. This little leak here is normal, but yeah, it's running over the bank. So let me just make sure this pump isn't underwater. Okay, there's a little bit of water, but it's good. We got to go out and start the pivot. I'll have to put it in four-wheel drive, but I'm pretty sure I can make it through this just fine. It's really deep. I'm sure we can make it. See, it's deep, but it has a good bottom to it. Yeah, we got to get this thing going. The water just got here. I'm probably about 30 minutes late getting out here. But that water, it's like exactly 4 hours and it's here. So let's get this turned on. It should suck the ditch down. This field has some of these tall, pokey weeds. I don't know what they are, but it has a lot of them. It's the only field that has those. I don't know what they are. But the potatoes look really good. Well, the ditch is actually so full that it's pushing water clear down here into this pipe, and it's running out right there. That's crazy. Let's get this thing going. Turn that on, pump. There we go. The water was already here. Just had to start the pump. This will take a minute to fill up, and then I will turn this one to go. This pivot, this is the one that I've had tons of plugged nozzles on, but after unplugging them about 3 or 4 times, I haven't had hardly any more plugged nozzles. So it's just that the first few times running it in the spring when we first started up. After that, it doesn't plug up much anymore, but it'll when we shut it off for the winter and then start it up in the spring, and they'll all be plugged again. We'll have to unplug like all of them. But it looks like the water is getting near the end. So we're gonna set it to go. There it goes. We'll go check the ditch. Usually when I start it, it immediately pulls the ditch down because it's taken all that water and pushing it into the pivot. So let's go see if it sucked the ditch down. I imagine it has, and it should be fine. Just a little bit wet. Oh yeah. We're good. I don't like that water going down the rows though. Now that the pivot's running, it should suck it down, and then a lot of this should dry up. Well, I have this air relief valve that sometimes the little ball in there doesn't get pushed up. My solution is I just quickly turn it off. Oh, that didn't work. We're gonna turn it off and kind of let it settle for a minute. It will shut off the water of the pivot, but luckily this pivot doesn't shut off when it doesn't have pressure, which is weird, but it doesn't. It'll just stay running. So when I turn this pump back on, it'll just fill the pivot back up, and it should be good. Let's see if that, yeah, see there, now it's not leaking. And we've got water back in the pivot again. So at least that's not leaking. Let's hop up here, because there was water running over here, so I know it did suck it down enough. Yeah, it sucked it down just below the edge, so it is no longer leaking over the top of the ditch bank, which is good. It should suck it down a few more inches. This pivot uses enough water. It uses basically as much water, maybe a little bit more water than I opened the ditch. I want to have the ditch open just a little bit more because I don't want the pivot to run out of water. But it looks like we're almost done leaking, which is good. So I think what I'm actually going to do to suck the ditch down more, I'm going to open this hand line, which will take even more water from the ditch. And then after an hour or so, I'll come shut this hand line back off. Yeah, we'll let that fill up. We'll go start the rest of our pivots, and then I'll come back later in the pickup and shut that hand line off, because it doesn't need to be on, but it does take more water. So by opening the hand line, we can drop the ditch down to a manageable level, then shut it off, and the pivot should maintain that. Okay, we're at the next pivot. For whatever reason, I started this yesterday. I have to start this one every day. It stopped halfway. So hopefully it's not a big deal and it'll just start right back up. I'm not sure why it stopped. Sometimes if there's power surges, it'll kick them off and then you just have to restart them, but I'm not sure why this one's off. We'll drive to the pivot center and see if it's out of line or what could be wrong. Well, looking at this pivot, let me see if I can zoom in. I can see it's out of a line, so I can see the end towers are forward, and then looks like the fourth tower is behind. If I come over here, you might be able to see a little better. Maybe you can see that. But it's not in line, so the end towers got ahead and that shut it off. I'm not sure why that happened, but I'm gonna see if I can walk it back and see if it'll move. Well, I cannot seem to get it to line up. So I have to walk out there and see if anything's broken, see if I can see anything wrong with it. I'll see you when I get there. Well, I've made a discovery. This is the fourth tower and it's fine. I can see the fifth tower and I can see one tire is just spinning in the mud and the other tire's not even turning. So let me go see what's wrong with it. Now you can kind of see what's going on here. That's not going anywhere. It's trying. I can also see what's wrong. If you notice, the Bluetooth connection isn't working. Darn Bluetooth, always let you down. This is just going to keep turning until it gets out of a line because I slowed it way down. That's even a new coupler. It's not new on that end, it's just new on this end. But Bluetooth or wireless doesn't always work. Nah, I'm just kidding around. The axle's right here. There's the axle. I don't know what is the problem, why that could have busted like that. There's a really good chance that this gearbox is bad. I'm just gonna see if I can turn it. Yeah. Ooh. Oh yeah. See how when I turn it, it goes in and comes back out? That is how you know that it's no good. So, looks like I'm gonna be replacing the gearbox today. Okay, it finally just got out of a line enough that it turned off. Oh, now I just have to walk like 600 yards back to the side-by-side. And I think I will go start all my other pivots that need to be started and then come change the gearbox. Whew. Well, I'm very out of breath, but I made it back. Let's go start some more pivots. Here's the next one. Let's see, we need to go forward and start. Oh, stay started. There we go. Pump turned on. It's this little pump here, and the pivot's over there. So now I just have to make sure it's gonna fill up and go. This one's a little bit newer pivot. That one over there that broke down, it's all in the same field, but the one that has the broken wheel gearbox is way over there. This one is a lot newer than that one. That one's really old, but we're just gonna make sure this starts up, and then we'll head to the next one. I gotta get 3 more started after this. Granted, they're easy, and then I can go change that gearbox. Okay, I made it to the last field. This field has 3 pivots in it, and they're all going. So I just need to go and set them to shut off when they get to the barrier so they don't get overwater. This one likes to hang over the road a little bit, so I'm hoping that I can not fall in the ditch and just squeeze around the end of this one. Yeah, there we go. Whew, I almost fell in the ditch. This pivot's really old and a really weird setup, but it works pretty good. Panel number 1, panel number 2, panel number 3. Okay, just want this to stop when it gets to that end. This one. There we go. And this one. Let's see. There. Now they should stop. They'll be off for tomorrow, and then I'll start them back up tomorrow. Now I have to go grab our side-by-side that has all of our repair tools in it and go fix that gearbox. Swap out that one for this one. I've got my new gearbox loaded up. Let's go see what we can do. I'm all by myself, so I know a few videos ago we changed a couple gearboxes, but there was 4 of us. Now it's just me, so this will be really fun. One downside of having to do this is I have to drive over 2 rows all the way out there, and I can't really see where the rows are, so I'm just gonna take a guess that there's a row right here, and it looks like I guessed correctly. We'll get her done. Oh. Despite being not able to see the rows, I kind of made a straight line here. And I honestly think I didn't really kill any. They'll pop back up, I'm sure. Now I have to disassemble. So I take you off time lapse for a little update. I have it all apart, and this is what you like to see when you tip your gearbox over. Water. There's water inside the gearbox, just running out the seal. That's how you know it's good. Hey, at least it had lubrication. Granted, I don't know how lubricating water is, but that's the old gearbox.
got it done. It only took us about 30 minutes. Yeah, right in the middle of that, this big storm came in, and that brown you see right there, that's dust. So it's really windy. The camera got knocked over a couple times by the wind. So if you can't hear me, that's why. Now, I'm gonna drive over to the pivot center, and we're gonna see if we can get this thing back in line and get it started. And start. I have to get it lined back up, so this might take a minute. Okay, it is back in line, so we're gonna flip this to wet and start it with water. There's the water. Now it should be good to go. There we go. Water's almost to the end, and it's going. So good deal. Let's go see what Christopher's up to. I have a feeling he's in a pretty crappy situation.
All right, what up guys? So Chris again here. Taryn is coming just to film in case I so happen to fall in this canal with this water, because what I have to do is I have to shimmy out on those pipes right there. That white line is a pressurized line that comes from my uncle and cousin's dairy, and we pump the manure water out onto, right now it's like the hay fields and stuff for fertilizer. We'll pump it on the grain. We can't pump it on potatoes because it's a growing crop and it's also for human consumption, but we can put it on feed. Anyway, so the manure line came apart. Just putting a little bit of manure water into the canal, which nobody should be swimming in the canal. The neighbors get lots of free fertilizer downstream. Anyway, we shut it off. We're gonna fix it right now. Taryn is on his way. I don't know if I see him yet or not. I don't see him coming down the canal bank back there or not, but so we'll wait for him for a minute. So what we're gonna attempt to do, what I have to do is unhook. There's a repair coupler right here. I will unhook the repair coupler and try to hammer the bell back onto the pipe and then tighten the repair coupler back down. Perfect world, shouldn't be too bad. Worst case scenario, I slip, I drop tools, fall in the water. Right here it is pretty deep. I'm 6'5". I could touch, but it's probably at least 5 or 6 foot deep. Benefit about Idaho, there's no alligators, you know, nothing in the water other than the manure or you know, that's gonna hurt me. So we will attempt to take one attempt at this and hopefully we don't get wet. All right, it is very windy today. If you look around the valley, if you look up toward the mountains, they look kind of dusty. It's because it's really, really windy. So, but anyway, here comes Taryn. You can see him coming down the canal road. He just fixed a gearbox, and that's probably in one of these videos too, because he was filming. He fixed a gearbox, but just so I don't lose or hurt my phone, I'm not gonna have this phone on me. And so we'll let him, oh, he's gotta go up and over the little hill. There is something hidden under that hill. Comment down below what you think might be hidden under that hill. And whoever gets the closest could maybe win something. So here is Taryn. Just showed up. And he's only here for moral support and to film content. So,
All in yet?
no, I'm waiting for you because I didn't want to take my phone over there to it.
Okay, well, here's Christopher. He's gonna wander out on the pipe like a little ballerina. Sorry about the wind. It is really windy. This camera does a pretty good job. I'll try and protect it. But yeah, it just came undone. I'm not real sure how it came undone, but it kind of like oh yeah.
Where it was like, hey, Eric, we might have to clean up some of this with a knife or something and then try to get your cell back on.
Yeah, it just got pushed out somehow. We don't really pushed out, came unhooked, and we don't entirely know what caused that to happen. Kind of a balancing act out there. He's using his legs to keep him balanced. We're not in the best shape of our lives. Let's be honest. Christopher's 40 years old. Also, if he does fall in, he'll just disappear because This canal right here is about 7 feet deep. Mainly there's a check right there that checks the water up so our pumps don't starve of water.
We used to swim in here when we were kids, so.
Yeah, we used to swim in here all the time. Now that we know what's in the canals, as kids we didn't know. This is manure. When we were kids, they would just dump the manure right into the sump over there. Some of it would leak into the canal, and we would swim right down there. There used to be a big tree that we would swing off of into the canal. Yeah, we didn't know there was weird manure crap in there, but there is. Not anymore, we've cleaned it up. Now it doesn't go into the canal, it just goes right into the line, but they didn't used to do that back then. Okay, he's got the repair coupler undone. Now he's just trying to get there's a little stub pipe, that little blue pipe right there. It's just a little stub piece. He's trying to get it. Okay, he's got it out. It looks like there's plenty there if you need to push it out to cover that crack in the other one. When we put these together, we try to make it so there is some adjustment. So it looks like we can move this just a little bit. That other white piece over there, you probably can't see it from this far away, but it's got a little cut in it from where it popped out and gouged into the other one. So we are going to, Christopher is going to try and get this back together. There's no way both of us could get out there and not fall in. So a one-man job here. I'll walk out just to this valve. Gives me somewhere to sit down. And I'm just sitting. Well, I guess it's not really going on straight, is it?
Just trying to figure out where to place it so I can sit the wood there and hammer it. This is not ideal. It needs some lube during the day. The pumps have oil over there, you know.
Yeah, the drip oil. We'll see if Christopher can not fall in. So he's going to get some drip oil out of this pump to lubricate the gasket in this so we can get it on, because it doesn't want to go on because it's just dry.
What the hell? That's about as much as I dare go. We still have 2 inches of coupler here to lock it on. Don't show us anybody this.
Yummy!
Want to go for a swim?
Don't swim in the canal, kid. That's manure water. Got it.
It's not in there very far, but if we tighten that gasket down, it should feel finished. That's why we wear shirts that have pockets on them. Thanks, Carhartt. It's just a tool pouch, another way to hold traps. So far I haven't dropped anything. And I know all of you are wishing I just fall in too. Don't lie, secretly that's what you're thinking.
I know that's what I'm thinking.
Cramp. Like I have to, have you ever heard the term pick yourself up by the seat of your pants? Kind of what it felt like I had to do that. I can't remember if it was my twins, my kids, or who asked me how I was going to fix this without falling in the water. And I said, I'm going to fix it the same way porcupines have babies. And they looked at me like, what are you talking about? I said, very carefully. They thought that was pretty funny. It's one of those, you know, bad dad jokes, right? Because some of these days, as much as I would love to get cooled off in this water, today's not super warm. I mean, it's warm, but it's got a good breeze, and I just about went home and put my swimsuit on because I thought, you know, it might be easier to do this if I got a ladder and stood on a ladder in the canal. It might have carried the ladder away. Then I would have made Taryn put his swimsuit on just to hold my ladder. We got that all tight. Now I got some twine over there. We will tie this to this brace. We'll tie that pipe to that brace. So hopefully, you know what? Say hopefully it doesn't come up.
So this pipe that Christopher's wiggling, this little tiny one, this has all the electrical wires in it that run over to the pivot down the hill. Twine it is. Woo! Almost got me.
I got that tied off. Now I was going to mention kind of how this manure line works. So out to the dairy, they have their lagoon water. They have a bunch of screens and filters and separators. And there is a pump. And we're probably, what would you say, 3/4 of a mile? Almost a mile? Close to a mile. So they have a pump in their lagoon that agitates the water so you can pump it. And we used to just pump it right into the sump, let our pumps pump it through the main line. But if our pump shut off, we would just pump into the sump and go into the canal. So to keep the environment safe or whatever, to keep things clean, now it goes through a stainless steel pump on the other side. And so they turn that pump on and turn this pump on, and it pressurizes this. We put it into the pressurized side of the main lines, and we can go into our hills pivot. We can go into the home pivots. We can go into my two pivots. So we can cover about a 600 acre-ish total area with manure water, so we don't oversaturate one single place. So that's kind of how we have the manure line. We have a bunch of valves over there on the top of the canal that we put it in different systems depending on what we're doing. So that way no manure leaks out or goes anywhere. So it's a pretty good safe system, but that is kind of how it works. Charlie horse, hold on. That stretch. The farmer stretch, where you hang yourself over a pipe on a 7-foot deep canal and stretch your legs. I got a stretch, I'm getting the Charlie horse. Or sit down and stretch it this way. Just right there. All right, that should hold it tight. We made it. We did it. So
He didn't fall in.
now, since the pivot has been pumping fresh water for a day, I might go clean out if there's any plugged nozzles, because we don't like to clean out the pivots when it's got manure water run through it. Surprise, surprise. So
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
before I tell the dairy they can turn the manure pumps back on, I'm gonna go get that pivot cleaned out so it waters that hayfield up good. So sorry I didn't fall in the canal.
All right, guys, and just like that, it is the end of the day. So when I come to work to film these videos, I never know what's going to happen during the day. I just come to work and I'm like, I'm gonna film a video today. And today I was expecting it to go pretty well with just having to start up my pivots, but we didn't know that we're gonna have a gearbox go bad and the main line or the manure line break and just all this stuff. So you never know what you're gonna get when you come to work on the farm. You just have to roll with the punches. If you enjoyed the video, go down below, hit subscribe. If you want to join the RMF club and have a chance to win some free stickers, fill out the form below. I love you. I'll see you in the next one.
I bet you thought I was gonna forget to turn this off.
Honestly, I almost forgot to.